The golden question. Changing your art style for your webtoon or your webcomic. Should you do it? So I'm doing a little panel redraw for my comic, Aged Away. Here is the panel that I'm redrawing. It's not out yet, by the way, but if you are watching this in the future, check out my pinned comment, which will have links to it on Tapas and Webtoon. So the reason why I'm doing a panel redraw is not because I hate my art or anything, but because I wanted to highlight the differences between how I draw for my comic and how I draw for illustrations. Like more finished pieces and everything like that. So I had to personally change my style for my comic. And my usual style looks something like this. So I experiment a lot, so it's not like 100% how I usually draw, but yeah. And yeah, I have definitely simplified my art a lot in order to streamline it for my comic. And the most noticeable difference between how I usually draw for illustrations and how I draw for my comic is the eyes. Most of the time, though sometimes it depends on the panel, I usually draw these little dot eyes because it's a lot faster for me to draw them that way. And also, I have a love-hate relationship with drawing eyes. Sometimes I really enjoy drawing them, sometimes I hate them. I just want to do dot eyes instead. Maybe I need to do lots of eye studies, but not gonna lie, close-up pictures of eyes kind of creep me out. My favorite go-to brush that I always use for my illustrations, which I'll link in the description on Clip Studio Assets. I made it myself. But my usual brush, it doesn't really work well with Webtoon's strict file constraints. I had to use Webtoon's file constraints over Tapas's ones, because Webtoons are smaller. And so the Webtoon file sizes are 800 pixels by like 1280 pixels. But the length doesn't really matter because when you're doing vertical format, it chops it up anyway. But 800 pixels is really tiny. And when I initially started this comic, I drew it directly in 800 pixels wide, and it was just annoying. And in some panels, I literally did pixel art. That's how small I was drawing people. Oh, it was bad. But after I drew that episode, I was like, fine. If I make the file size bigger and then like output it smaller, then it'll be fine. So I did that, and I now started drawing at 1600 pixels, and then I shrink it down to the 800 pixels width. But my usual brush really doesn't work at such small canvas sizes due to the way it's made, because it's like a particle brush. And I don't have to explain it, but it's complicated, but not complicated, you know? But anyway, I couldn't make the brush size small enough, and it just wasn't vibing. It also looked really bad at such a small canvas size because I made the brush for large canvas sizes. I'm used to drawing at around 3000 pixels and above. Like the other day, I drew on a 7000 by 7000 pixels canvas. That's a lot of pixels, okay? I know that was slightly overkill and I might not print it, but thing is, the bigger the pixels, the better you can print it off. So, I couldn't use that brush, that was out the window, so I had to go for the default G Pen brush. But then I turned the anti-aliasing off. Anyway, I turned it off in my comic because I like the crunchy, pixely look to my art. So I switched to the G Pen. First it was kind of weird because I was like, oh, I miss my fancy textured brush. But then I was like, it's just a brush. And yeah, at first it was a little bit frustrating because sometimes I do a panel that was usually in my style, and then the next panel will be like the comic version, and it will look really inconsistent. I have to redraw some stuff here and there. But then I can always pretend that it's me doing it on purpose. That I'm just doing it, make a panel more, like funny or something. I don't know. I'll just, at some points, you just gotta let it go and be like, well, that's it. That's life, You can't keep worrying over things and saying, okay, this needs to be perfect. This needs to be perfect. Sometimes you just gotta let go and go, yeah, I tried my best. That's fine. And that's what I did. I tried my best. That's fine. Let's move on. Sometimes you just gotta move on. Just keep going. Just keep swimming. When I first started drawing a comic, so, at the moment I'm building my buffer. In the future, my buffer will be filled up and then I'll start publishing it online. At the moment, I'm still building my buffer. When I did my first episode, I was like, yes, I did it. I did my first episode. This is so cool. But then at the same time, at the back of my mind, I was like, what if no one reads it? What if all the people that follow me on my Instagram, my Tumblr, and on here as well, that are used to my art and all my art style stuff, when they hear me saying, oh, I've got a comic, check it out, they go click on it, and then they see the art style of my comic and be like, whoa, this is misleading. I dislike this. And at first I was like, yeah, this is so sad. Maybe I should go back and redraw it and make it look like my illustrations. But then I thought, first of all, no, let's not do that. Second of all, I'm doing this for free. Like, no one's paying me to make this comic. Who knows, maybe in the future, wink, wink. But right now, it's free. I'm doing this because I want to. This comic is my passion project. I've been working on it for years and years. Some could say too long, but years and years. And I'm not going to go back and try and prolong this anymore. I'm doing this comic, whether I like it or not. I'm going to finish this darn comic, okay? I'm not going to have any setbacks. I will have setbacks, but I will overcome them. And just because little Timmy clicks on that happens to follow me on Instagram or whatever, expects some really shiny rendered drawing and then clicks on my comic and sees that. Well, the way I'm saying it makes my comic art sound horrible. It's not horrible. I like it. But the quote unquote style dissonance. It won't be a style dissonance. But in your mind, you're your worst enemy in your mind sometimes. Oh, this is really bad. But in reality it's not bad. But little Timmy isn't gonna care. Little Timmy's gonna be like, oh cool, comic, let's read this. So, and I realized, yeah, I was making a mountain out of a molehill. It's not that deep. Let's just draw and have fun and just do this darn comic. So I'm doing it. And yeah, I'm pretty sure that the style doesn't even look too different in other people's eyes than it does in mine. Because, sometimes when you're drawing, you spend a lot of time looking at the same thing over and over and over again. You just see all the things that you hate. Or it's all the nice parts of the drawing. They just kind of fade away because you've seen it already. Whilst because you're just zeroed in on the things you hate. You're like, oh, I don't like the color of this. Oh, the anatomy is wonky. The composition sucks. Oh, look at their face. But if someone's looking at your art with fresh eyes, they'll be like, whoa, this is cool. Or, whoa, I like the composition. Oh, I like drawing the face. And people really don't care about style as long as the story's interesting. So I stuck my guns and I was like, yeah, I'm just going to draw comic this way because the way I usually draw in the illustrations is more ornate and it does take a long time. For one-off illustration, it is pretty fast. But if you're doing a 30-panel comic with multiple characters, sometimes doing dynamic poses, it's gonna take a long time. And I want there to be a good in-between of it looks nice and it doesn't take a long time. And the way my style is for the comic kind of goes slap bang in the middle, almost towards the doesn't take a long time corner. But it kind of fluctuates depending on the panel. Some panels I'm like, okay, let's make this look a little bit more fancy because I'm trying to show something. I want the reader to pick something up and be like, oh, okay, this is an impactful scene. Or some drawings, I'll just make it a bit more simplified because I'm like, haha, this scene's kind of funny. If I make it a bit more simplified, it might make someone laugh. If it makes no one laugh, at least I laughed at it. So yeah, it just depends really. But here are 3 reasons you could consider changing your art style for your comic. Number 1, your art's really ornate and it takes a long time to make. Number 2, your art can be inconsistent at times. And number 3, your style might not have the vibes for your comic that you're making. So let me elaborate a little bit more on number 3. Let's say you're doing a psychological horror comic, but you usually draw chibi uwu art, and this might be a little bit jarring, and you could possibly change your art to be less uwu, more scary, or you could keep it, because at the end of the day, it's your choice. You don't need to change your art style for your comic. You could consider it. Remember, you're the one drawing your comic, unless you're not drawing it. So the question is, should you change your art style for your comic? It depends. Try experimenting. Maybe do a test page in different styles and see which one you like. Try drawing your characters in different styles as well. Make sure you draw them over and over again. Maybe do like a whole page of one character in different angles and doing different things, but in both your usual style and a style you like to draw for your comic, and see which one you prefer drawing. Also, make sure you time yourself and try not to like rush things. Just go at your own pace, but just time it to see, okay, this page took me X amount of time, whilst this page took me Y amount of time. And then you can compare it. And don't just go for the fastest one. Go for the one you both enjoy drawing and might be a little bit quicker. Might is the key word. You could always even do like a really ornate comic if you want. At the end of the day, you are doing this for fun. This is your passion project. You're allowed to be extra. Hope this helps. Okay, so here's my finished illustration that I did a redraw of the original comic page. Bear in mind, I did the comic page in January, so that's 4 months of art in between then and now. But, you know, it's kind of, I mean, you can tell they're both drawn by me, but it's not like, oh no, this is jarring, you know. But it was fun to draw. Also, Webtoon Tea also made a cool video in art style. I'll link it in the iCard and the description. And when I saw it, I was really shook because I was literally in the middle of writing the script for this video. And I was like, whoa, funky coincidence, haha. So anyways, thanks for watching and see you in the next one. Bye.